This is Dr. Panda.
Hello, I am Dr. Panda as a shy and introverted nerd. Even if I have feelings for someone I like, I tend to keep them hidden and won't confess my feelings. This is what we call a crush. Last month, the girl I had a crush on told me that she has a boyfriend who is a horse rider. In that moment, my heart shattered and I could only console myself by saying, he's just a horse rider, what's so special about that? Can he ride a zebra? Now, let's address the question now. Why humans don't ride zebras? To understand this, we need to go back to a long time ago when humans relied on gathering and hunting to obtain food. As time progressed, humans no longer solely relied on nature for sustenance and gradually shifted towards creating their own food through agriculture and animal domestication. During this period, humans domesticated various animals such as horses, cows, sheep, pigs, dogs, and chickens. The purpose of domesticating animals was because humans had limited abilities and couldn't fulfill all their needs on their own. Therefore, they domesticated animals to provide assistance, such as using dogs for guarding and herding, using cows for plowing fields, and using horses as a means of transportation. Has anyone ever domesticated zebras? Of course, there have been attempts, but they all failed. Strictly speaking, these attempts were not domestication, but rather short-term taming. Domestication and taming are only one letter apart, but they have very different meanings. Domestication is the process of selecting individuals within a species that are naturally inclined to be friendly to humans and then breeding these individuals to create a population that is increasingly tolerant of human interaction. Eventually, this population can be used for human purposes. Taming, on the other hand, is much simpler. It simply involves scaring the animal into submission. In short, domestication takes longer and results in a larger population of domesticated animals. Taming takes less time, but the number of animals that can be tamed is limited. In 1907, a doctor named Rosendo Ribeiro lived in Nairobi, Kenya. His daily commute was on a zebra which he rode through the streets, attracting attention wherever he went. The most famous example of the domestication of zebras in history is that of Walter Rothschild. He trained several zebras to pull carriages and even performed in front of Buckingham Palace, causing a great stir. In addition, in the mid-18th century, George Grey also domesticated several zebras from South Africa and brought them to New Zealand to pull carriages. However, these examples of using zebras for riding or pulling carriages are essentially just short-term taming rather than domestication at the species level. That is why zebras are not considered livestock today. The reason for such outcomes can be attributed to various factors. Sociologist Jared Diamond has mentioned in his work on domestication that all domesticable animals are domesticated and all undomesticable animals are undomesticable in their own ways. What does this mean? Essentially, it implies that animals that can be domesticated are those that pose little threat to humans, are relatively easy to tame, and have no strong inherent resistance to human interaction. On the other hand, undomesticable animals are often those that pose a threat to humans, either due to their venomous nature, aggressive and unpredictable behavior, or their general reluctance to be approached by humans. Why are zebras not suitable for riding like horses? Zebras are able to survive well in low nutrient conditions and exhibit stronger disease resistance. However, despite having these advantages, why haven't humans invested significant efforts in domesticating zebras to replace horses? Clearly, zebras have some other drawbacks that outweigh their benefits. In fact, zebras are not suitable for riding. They have a highly volatile temperament, even more stubborn than that of donkeys. If you stand behind a horse, it may lift a leg and kick you, but if you stand behind a zebra, it will rear up on its front legs and deliver a powerful kick with its hind legs. Zebras also have a tendency to startle easily and are prone to nervousness. While this trait can be advantageous for their survival in the wild as it helps them detect and evade predators, it becomes a fatal flaw when it comes to riding. Moreover, when zebras become tense, apart from being restless and agitated, they also have a tendency to bite and hold on. Additionally, zebras exhibit weaker social structures within their family groups. The social structure of an animal is a prerequisite for large-scale domestication, where strict hierarchical systems exist and leaders hold absolute power. For example, with a flock of sheep, if you can control the dominant leader, you can control the entire flock. This allows even a single person to manage hundreds or thousands of sheep. Indeed, when it comes to zebras, although they do exhibit strong social tendencies and prefer to gather in groups, the cohesion of these groups is not as tight-knit as that of a sheep flock. Zebras tend to be more inclined towards individual self-preservation when faced with danger. Once one zebra in the group gets startled, it can create a ripple effect of restlessness and unease throughout the entire zebra herd. The zebras scatter in a chaotic manner, making it virtually impossible for a single person to herd a group of zebras in a controlled and organized manner. Can zebras be domesticated? Yes, zebras can be domesticated if there is a willingness to invest resources and engage in generations of selective breeding. The successful domestication of foxes by Soviet scientists in the last century serves as a good example. In 1959, Soviet scientist Dmitry Belyaev aimed to recreate the domestication process of ancestral animals, turning wild animals into domesticated ones. Through scientific methods, Belyaev's team managed to domesticate foxes in just 60 years. After being domesticated, foxes not only wag their tails at humans like dogs, but also cuddle with humans and lick them like dogs. When researchers call them by their names, they run towards humans or look up at them. Therefore, there is no animal that cannot be domesticated by humans. Zebras can definitely be domesticated, it just depends on whether people are willing to invest the time and effort to do so. At this point, some viewers may have different opinions. Because according to your perspective, does that mean that even carnivorous animals like tigers, lions, and leopards can be domesticated? In principle, that is true. As long as there is a willingness to invest resources and engage in generations of selective breeding, domestication can be successful. However, the key lies in the cost involved. If one wants to domesticate large carnivorous animals, they would need to provide them with a meat-based diet. In ancient times, humans themselves struggled to have enough food, let alone have extra meat to feed animals. Even if the cost is not taken into account, the following scenarios are likely to occur if successful domestication is achieved. You have raised a lion named Tiger. One night, Tiger feels that it is too cold to sleep alone as a lion, so it jumps onto your stomach in the middle of the night. Fortunately, you only break a few ribs, but you escape a more serious injury. One day, when you have nothing to do, you want to play with Tiger. Tiger licks your face, causing you to lose a layer of skin. After being away from home for a long time, as soon as you enter the door, you call out Tiger's name and Tiger excitedly runs towards you. Tiger opens its lion claws and pounces on you. Instinctively, you try to dodge, but it is too late. Tiger heavily lands on you and you only see darkness before passing out. When you wake up, you find yourself lying in a hospital bed covered in bandages. The doctor tells you that you suffered a concussion when Tiger knocked you down. You recall the scene at that time. Tiger's speed was too fast when it pounced on you and you had no time to dodge. If Tiger hadn't held back some of its strength, you might have died. So why do we say that cats are the largest felids that humans can keep as pets? Because if they were any bigger, it wouldn't be you playing with them, but rather them playing with you. But here's the thing. Wolves are also carnivorous animals, so how did they get domesticated into dogs by humans? Well, it wasn't humans who actively domesticated wolves, but rather the wolves themselves approached humans. Many years ago, a group of wolves discovered that although humans also hunted for meat, they seemed to struggle with chewing bones. So this group of wolves started following humans around, scavenging the bones. And that's how the initial interaction between humans and wolves began. At the same time, humans are omnivorous creatures. They not only eat meat, but also wild fruits, plants, and anything edible. Now, what could this group of wolves do if they followed humans? They had no choice but to eat what humans ate. Over time, these wolves evolved and developed an enzyme in their bodies that allowed them to not only eat meat but also human food. And regarding the matter of dogs eating feces, one can speculate that it might have originated during that time as well. Some wolves were so hungry that they saw food remnants in human excreta and had no choice but to eat while holding their noses. Now, with the easy availability of food, even stray dogs can survive by scavenging through garbage dumps. It's hard to say whether dogs will still eat feces hundreds of years from now. As time passed and evolved, wolves became more adapted to human food and their temperament became more docile, leading them to become closer to humans. This point doesn't require much explanation, as those who were unwilling to get close to humans have already perished. Humans also realized the usefulness of wolves and eventually domesticated them in a mutually agreeable state. In the book Guns, Germs, and Steel, the ability to be domesticated is attributed to 5 factors: feeding cost, growth rate, reproductive behavior, mating behavior, and social structure. These are all important factors influencing whether an animal can be domesticated. For example, as mentioned earlier, tigers and lions, besides having high feeding costs, have slow growth rates, fierce temperaments, and are non-social, making them unsuitable for domestication. Furthermore, animals like horses, cats, and dogs were successfully domesticated after thousands of years of time. Even with modern scientific methods, taming naturally aggressive animals is still not an easy task. Even if successful in today's society, they can only be kept for observation. It is better to let them retain some of their wildness. Returning to the beginning, after a day of suffering, I gathered the courage to confess my feelings to that girl, and unsurprisingly, I was rejected. Well, I'm used to it. At least we are still friends. And that's a wrap for this episode of the video. I'm DR.RED Panda. If any of you have your own perspectives, or if you think there are any errors in the video, feel free to leave a comment in the discussion section. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.